Okay, hey guys. Sorry for being really antisocial just now and standing up here by myself, but I've got a very hoarse voice, so I thought I should save it for the talk and not chatting to everyone as they're coming in. And this isn't from last night, so I was reasonably respectable, I have to say. I know a few of you in here weren't, so I'm impressed you're up and around right now. For those who don't know me, my name's Sophie Sparks, and I'm part of the Tableau Public team based in London. I live and breathe Tableau Public, and personally, I think it is Tableau's hidden gem, the part of the software that everybody loves, but I think nobody uses to its full potential. So in the next hour, I'll show you some really great ways how you can use Tableau Public as a marketing tool, be that for yourself or for your company, or how you can use Tableau Public just to get more involved with this amazing Tableau community we have. And I think everybody who was out at the party last night saw that community is pretty huge. And hopefully you'll leave this with lots of ideas and heads buzzing about how you can start using Tableau Public more. So I said that I live and breathe Tableau Public, and I live and breathe data. And I've got a confession to make. I've been doing it in public, and sorry, I keep on moving my head. I've been doing it in public for over 2 years. I'm a bit of an exhibitionist when it comes to doing it in public. The higher, the more visible, the better. The shirt scene, many a great place. So apart from doing it in public, I love skiing. So that's sort of a little bit about myself. And if I combine the two of them, I will. I've yet to get visible on my iPad and take it up to the top of a slope. So that's the goal for this winter. So before we go any further, when I talk about Tableau Public, I don't just mean the free version of the software. So Tableau Public is so much more than the amazing free version of the software. So when I'm talking about Tableau Public and doing it in public with your own data, I'm talking about publishing things to the cloud sharing platform, public.tableau.com. So you can do that from any of the desktop apps. So it means that everybody here has no excuse not to be getting it and doing it with their own data in public themselves. So Tableau Public, the cloud platform, is an amazing resource that allows everybody to share data with the whole world. Now, we're going to go through, because I know what most of you are thinking, which is, but I don't have publicly available data in my company. And I think I should be able to prove most of you wrong. So everybody should be able to publish something to Tableau Public and to begin to think about other ways they can use their data and promote themselves with the information that they hold. So where do you start doing it? I personally start doing things at home. You know, you don't want most people to see you being a bit clumsy and making some mistakes. So how can you start doing it at home as well? So you can use Tableau Public for yourself, and lots of people do. There is a thriving Tableau Public community, and shout out to anybody who's coming to Fanalytics this afternoon. There's a big Tableau Public meetup, and I know some people here were also involved in Makeover Monday on Monday. Huge Tableau Public community. So that's where you can do it at home, but what are some of the benefits of doing it at home? So this visualization here is by an amazing man called Johnny Walker, who should be in the crowd. There he is, hiding, skulking back there. While this visualization looks like Johnny may be a mad bird watcher day in and day out, he isn't. He spends his days working as a civil servant in the north of the UK, analysing publicly available and government data. Has nothing to do with this amazing visualization he's made. And what you're seeing on the screen here is some of Johnny Walker's passion. And I was lucky enough to talk to him this week, and what he's passionate about are data sets that he can really add a lot of colour and interest and intrigue to, because that's something in his daily work where he's a bit restrained. And I think most of us are. You have corporate colour palettes and corporate fonts and restrictions. So he's doing it at home to release his creativity. And in this visualization, he did that by looking at Swanson's hawk and its amazing migration routes all up and down the Americas. And he can take these skills he's learned and apply them back in his office as well. So do it at home to express your creativity. This is another gentleman in the audience, Chris Love at the back there, and this is an amazing screenshot from my phone last year. Now, I know I've got some Brits and Australians in the audience, but for Americans here, this is looking at cricket, the Ashes. And cricket is basically baseball, but for people with longer attention spans. And the Ashes is the ultimate grudge match played between Australia and the UK, going back 150 years, is it, or something like that? A very long time, and unfortunately at the moment the Brits are winning. But Chris Love also loves cricket, and he on the fly had some cricket data while the Ashes were on and did a quick and dirty little visualization. This viz tells a great story of looking at the average run rate to the number of balls the batter sees. So baseball equivalent is how many runs a team makes compared to how many people they have batting. And this visualization doesn't look like much, but it's telling a great story. And Chris tweeted it out. There he is, just there, on Twitter, to the BBC. And the BBC picked it up, and from my phone in my home, I got to see Chris Love's visualization and his input on this conversation about cricket. From my house, my dad could see it back home in Canberra in Australia. So Chris, by using Tableau Public, got involved in a global conversation about something he loves, cricket. And hopefully the Ashes, next one we're running, we'll get them back. This is another way you can use Tableau Public. Some of you guys might have seen this one. It got a little bit famous a few weeks ago. This is by one of our Iron Viz finalists from last year, Skylar Johnson. And he loves pop culture. And so he's a mad Harry Potter fan. So he used Tableau Public, instead of like Chris, to join a conversation. He used it to start his own conversation. And this conversation was around the spells of Harry Potter and when they first appear in the books. And obviously, there are lots of other Harry Potter fans around the world. This particular visualization got picked up by Mashable and then just went viral. So he managed to spawn an amazing conversation around Harry Potter spells and everyone's secret nerdiness by using Tableau Public. This is a bit more of a sensible way to use Tableau Public at home for your own personal use. This is Shweta Salvage from Schweiveley's Analytics, and I probably just butchered saying all of that, so I apologize. And she is a Tableau trainer, and she's using Tableau Public as living proof of her amazing training skills. This is a living resume for her personally, but also for her company, and it's looking at, we can see how many hours of training she's been doing over time, where she does it, and what sectors, what type of company she comes and gives this training to. So for her, it's a living resume. For a company, it's a living thing for to promote and say, hey, look at our trainers, they do some pretty cool stuff. And this can be shared. So she is a Tableau trainer, and she doesn't have to just say, I'm a great Tableau trainer. She can show it by sending her resume based on Tableau Public out along with her CV to all her clients. So you can use Tableau Public as a great proof of your technical skills and as a living resume of a body of work you can do. So there are some ways you can do it at home, and I think most of those are probably quite intuitive. But you're feeling a bit more confident, if you think you've got it down pat, the next place to take it is to the office. Do it at work, in front of more people. Get bigger, get better, and get bolder. So how can you do it at work? There's sort of two places you can start with Tableau Public, it being a cloud-hosted platform. One is on your website, and one is on other people's websites. So to start with, here are some ways you can use it on your own website. This is a visualization by Zillow. American-based people should know this, company that looks at housing and property data. And they produce many visualizations showing their expertise in this area, housing and property. So they're using it as living proof of their expertise. Very similar to what we just saw on how you do it at home, living proof of your technical skills, just taking the same idea and making it a bit bigger. So they produce many, many great visualizations. They update them. This was last quarter. No, wait, it's later in the year, I think. This is updated until halfway through this year of rental property yields. And they do lots of these visualizations because they are industry leaders in this area. And instead of producing white papers, that probably, honestly, how many people read white papers? I know I don't. I help make some of them from Tableau and I don't even read them. I shouldn't say that, but I'm much more likely to engage with something that's interactive and easier to digest. So use Tableau Public at work to show your company's expertise, whatever that area is. You can also use it to make your content more engaging. This is part of a 42, I think, story points visualization by KPMG on their annual automotive survey. So this is a white paper reimagined. They produce these surveys every year across many different verticals, and they realized they weren't getting much traction with them, and there's a lot of work to build them. So they thought a way to make their content more engaging, and also, once they've made it once, it's easier for them to update because they can just refresh that data set. And they've seen a huge uplift in the number of people reading, downloading, and going all the way through this visualization. They're estimating that by the amount of time they spend on the website. So you can use Tableau Public as a brilliant way to make your existing content more engaging. And we'll see in a little bit later what some of that existing content may be. Because I know not everybody here works for a big company like KPMG. So some people might think, but hey, we don't have content like this. Hopefully in a little bit, I'll show you that you probably do. And lastly, we can see how you can make your content easy to digest and to make it more engaging, but you can also make it a lot more accessible. So this is a visualization about crime statistics from the Texas Legislative Board, and they put out lots of visualizations around statistics to do with Texas and legislation and crime. And a huge PDF might be indigestible, but equally is a large CSV file. Not many people are going to go ahead and dig in if you make your data publicly available, but in a format that is hard to digest, possibly inaccessible to most people, they're not going to look at it. So while you're putting that information and content out there, you may as well not be, because people aren't going to easily engage with it. So these guys use Tableau Public to make their content and what they want to communicate with their audience more accessible. And they do some really cool things to do this as well. So what we're seeing in this visualization, Texas is in red. We're looking at crime rate over time compared to various different states. We can also choose what type of crime we want to see. At the moment, we're looking at aggravated assaults. And what the author of this, who I met yesterday, cleverly does is they provide this little hover, the bullseye you see in the bottom corner. And that helps people understand what they're seeing, and then they can go and interact with it. And just below, there's a download link. So once they've interacted with the content, they understand it, then they can download the CSV. So it was giving them a real help to understand what type of content they're looking at, and then they have the option to download it as well. So they're doing it in public to make their data more accessible to their audience. So now we're going to look at how you can use Tableau Public on other people's websites. So at the moment, we've just been looking at how Tableau Public can help you promote yourself in various different ways, your own company or your own person. But what about using it as a real great marketing tool to get your content out there onto other people's websites? Because isn't that great if somebody picks your content up for you and runs with it? That's marketing money can't buy. So how can you use Tableau Public to get your content on other websites? Well, there's no hard and fast, recipe to do this. There are some companies that have got a pretty nifty way. So this is All Foods. So they have a big data set about recipes, and they don't usually make that data publicly available, but they have it, and they have what the data is based on, all the recipes. They're all out there for everyone to look at. So they thought, why not do something pretty cool? This was a few years ago for Thanksgiving. They released a data set that was aggregated up, so they didn't actually release any of their commercial and confidence information. They just released the aggregate of it. And they thought, well, that's kind of interesting, but once again, CSV, nobody's going to look at it. Why not make a pretty nifty little viz? So this is looking at what is a top pie recipe by state. Now, as an Australian, pies for me aren't sweet. So this is just bizarre that there are many different popular types of pie. Pie should just be meat, and a sign of a true Aussie is you can eat a shitty meat pie with one hand while driving. But in America, obviously, pies are different, and pies are a big thing over Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks. And so what All Foods did was they made a visualization in conjunction actually with one of our Tableau Public authors, Jules Laurie, who you guys might have seen at Pimp My Viz Tokyo Drift earlier on this week. And they made this visualization that got picked up and put through Computer World. So they used Tableau Public as a brilliant way to make engaging content and to reach to a different market, because most people who go to All Recipes probably don't then immediately jump and go, hey, I want to see what's happening on Computer World. So by putting their data on Public and making an engaging visualization, they were then able to reach out to a different audience than is usually their key audience. And this story got thousands and thousands of views. It was really engaging, and all it took for them was a little bit of lateral thinking about how they can use the information they already have and put it into Public. So you use it to promote yourself. Another way you can do it is, and wait a sec, this is just so cool. You can use it to wow your clients. So I'll tell you what you're seeing here, because it mightn't necessarily be obvious. Infosys is a Tableau partner, and they are the official data providers of the ATP World Tennis Tour. And this was about a year ago. The ATP Tennis Tour was in London, and Infosys thought, we provide all the statistics, how many unforced errors, the dry run of numbers you get in the papers. Why not visualize it as well, so we can have some really engaging content in our players' lounge for the client ATP Tennis. And it actually was really, really popular. So what we're seeing is Thomas Berdych, currently at the time he was world number 5, checking out, and I'll just do this to make sure you see it. He is looking at a data visualization. So how many people do you think you can get a top 5 seed world tennis player checking out your data? This is celebrity status that money can't buy. So this is a great way for ATP Tennis to have something different. These players, they go around the world, they live the high life, but they do not see Tableau Public vizzes everywhere. I might be big noting myself a bit. I probably don't think most tennis players are dying to see Tableau Public vizzes, but they are dying to see how they compare to their competitors. And so this was a really cool way to show that information, visualize it in a slightly different way than the tennis players were used to seeing. And what Infosys got was they got this amazing photo opportunity, so for themselves, but also for ATP Tennis. And ATP Tennis loved this. So Infosys used Tableau Public to wow their clients, being ATP Tennis. And also, it turned out to get some amazing photo ops of tennis players checking out their stats. And what he's looking at is number of forced and unforced errors, how they compare to different players there on the screen. So use Tableau Public to wow your clients. So now we've gone through a little bit about why you should be doing it at home and why you should be doing it at work. But it'd be pretty rude of me to then just leave you at that and not actually give you some tips about how you can do it. So here are some really cool tips about how you can do it at home, and then we'll look at some ways about how you can do it at work as well. And I'll just take a little drink because my voice is getting very scratchy. Okay, so you want to start using Tableau Public, or you already use it at home. But a key thing is, when do you do it? It sounds a really strange question, but one of the great things I learned about using Tableau Public is you need to do it about something you find interesting. Do it when the inspiration strikes. We're looking at a viz by our current Iron Viz champion. I hope you guys saw him yesterday on the big stage, Curtis Harris, and he is a mad keen American football fan. And this is his Ultimate Fantasy Team League. So he won his, and I don't know much about American football nor Fantasy League, but he won his Fantasy League competition last year with some pretty clever modeling and visualizing it so he could easily understand what was going on. Now, he doesn't work for a football data company. He works for a healthcare data provider in Salt Lake City. So he's not doing this for work, he's doing it because he's passionate about it. And if you're passionate about something, if you use Tableau Public to visualize something you're interested in, I guarantee you won't be able to stop. So I rather creepily stalk people on Twitter quite a bit who use Tableau Public. And so if you bumped into me at the conference and I've stared at you rather strangely, it's probably because I'm trying to match your face to your Twitter avatar. And it can sometimes be difficult. Anybody here who has cat pictures as their avatar, nobody looks like a cat. And what I'm doing while I'm stalking you is seeing the amazing stuff you build, but I also take note of the time when you post these things. And people are posting visits to Tableau Public at all hours of the day. And that's just amazing. You're doing this, you're learning, and you're learning having fun. And obviously you're having fun because if you post a viz at 2 in the morning, you're not doing that because you have to, you're doing that because you love it. So if you want to start using Tableau Public and start visualizing really cool information, do it on something you find interesting, whatever that is. We've got guys in here who love nonprofits and hiking. Some people have visualized some really great hiking routes. We've seen cricket and sport. My latest personal one was gambling, horse racing. I won $38 on the Melbourne Cup. Whatever you love doing, visualize it. It's the great way to start, and it's the best way to learn anything. And everything you learn using Tableau Public, as we've seen Curtis Harris yesterday, it translates into what you can do at work and what you can do professionally. So it's not a waste of time. And you should do it when you need to explain the world around you. So those of you coming to Fanalytics this afternoon, this visualization is by one of our Fanalytics speakers, Pablo, based in the UK, but he's Spanish. And this is something he wanted to explain. So Spain, like many places in the world, has issues with domestic violence and violence against women. And this is something he feels passionate about and something he doesn't quite understand why it's happening. So using a data visualization, he can help explain what's happening in the world around him, and he can explain that to other people as well. So you can use Tableau Public as a tool to express your views and ideas, but also to help understand what's going on around you. So use Tableau Public to explain what's happening to yourself and to those around you, just like Pablo's done with this visualization. And please come see him this afternoon. He's a really cool guy. Now, how do you do it? You're like, okay, great, I get it. You do it about something you like, and you do it to explain things, but where the hell do I find this data? As part of the Tableau Public team, that's one thing I get asked all the time. Where do you find data sets? And this is what I say. I creepily see them everywhere. It's kind of like the sixth sense. No, but you get your eye in for it. So that isn't very helpful information though. So lots of people, there are lots of data sets sitting here in this room right now that I'm sure everybody could visualize if they started doing it. How many people are here? How many cups of water am I having? How many slides have I got? All these are data points, but that's where can you actually start using them? So you can find data sets in two places. One is to find existing data sets. So there is a lot of publicly available information out there, and what we're looking at is a report released by the Open Knowledge Foundation about publicly available data sets by country. So UK is number 2. I forget how lucky I am where I live, have a lot of open data, but not US. You guys are down at number 8. You also have a lot of open, publicly available information that you can visualize. And these data sets go from how many potholes there are in North Kent to the most popular days to get married in Australia. Data sets are all there. You just need to go and look for them. And because different countries store them in different places and have them different places, I can't tell you exactly where to look, but a great place to start is whatever government, be that local or federal government statistics website. They all have lots of information and publicly available data sets, and you can find some really cool and interesting trends in what normally is a pretty dry spreadsheet. The other place you can go to look for existing data sets are ones made by big global organizations and nonprofits. The UN and the World Bank, for instance, have a wealth of well-curated and accurate data sets. And I know they don't always sound like the World Bank. You're like, yeah, but GDP over time, what am I going to do with that? Well, looking at I used it just under 2 weeks ago, World Bank GDP, visualizing my gambling profits. I wanted to see if they follow GDP in Australia, and they don't. So there we go. I got to use the World Bank and gambling in the same data set. So check out your whatever level of government statistics website for information. It's a great place to start, and check out the big international organizations. But what if you want to get a data set that isn't already there, that somebody hasn't already made and curated for you? Well, that's not a problem either. It's actually really fun and rewarding to make your own data sets, and you can make them about anything. What you're looking at here is one of our Zen masters, Jeffrey Schaefer's daughter, Nina, who's in primary school. And Jeffrey Schaefer, so make your own data sets. And Jeffrey Schaefer collects how many trick-or-treaters come to his house every year, and he does this by tallying them with a piece of paper. Not really high-tech, but what he's done is made a really cool data set around how many trick-or-treaters they get every year. There are so many data sets about you out there that you can make yourself. Who here runs and uses Strava or a similar app? Data sets about yourself right there. Who here has a Gmail account? You can see terrifyingly how many emails you get. That's a rather depressing thing to look at. So you can easily find data about yourself and quantify it, and you can also make it yourself. We've had some really great examples of that coming through. One of them by a guy called Datasaurus Rex. Real name is David Murphy. He makes a viz. He loves Game of Thrones, just like everybody else here. But he finds the Game of Thrones official API data pool down not detailed enough for what he wants to do. So as he's watching every episode, he tallies up how many deaths every character, including the minor characters, how many people they kill, how many deaths happen by episode, and then he visualizes that. So you can create your own data sets from something as small and mundane as how many trick-or-treaters come to your house. Quantify yourself, how far do you run, how fit are you, how many emails do you get, how little do you sleep because of the emails you get. Or something you really like about TV shows. We've been at a whole conference where everything's about big data and spreadsheets, but a piece of paper and a tally, that's a really great place to start a data set as well. So think about making your own data sets if you want to visualize them. Okay, so that's kind of how and when you should use Tableau Public. And the last bit is what you should do once you've got that visualization there. So you've gone ahead, you've been inspired, you've made a visualization. What do you do with it now? Because the whole point of Public, right, is putting that visualization out there. So get involved in the community. Everybody here at this conference is part of the Tableau community. And I think everybody at this conference will agree that the Tableau community is pretty amazing. We've just had like 5 days of insane conferencing. And that's not a real word, but it is right now. So get involved in the community. There are so many things you can do. This is a screenshot of Makeover Monday's Pinterest board, or part of the Pinterest board, a brilliant community-driven initiative where you can visualize a data set that gets pushed out every, depending where in the world you are, Sunday evening to Monday morning. But it doesn't just end here. There are so many other initiatives going on. Some of them more public, like the Revisit Project or This Makeover Monday, and some of them much smaller that people don't really, put out there. Just a few people talking and passing back tips and tricks about their visualizations and ways to improve them. Get involved in the community, and I guarantee you'll learn something about data visualization, you'll learn how to improve what you're doing, and you'll just feel better about yourself. And getting involved in community can be pretty scary. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself and how you shouldn't be scared, because there's no reason to be. So what you're looking at here was the result of an intense night of me learning Alteryx. I'm from Australia and we don't have parrots in London. I miss the birds, right? They're noisy, they really shit you off, but they're fun. And all the English birds are like small and polite and they just go tweet. They don't yell at you. But London has a wild, endemic now population of ringnet parrots. And they're great. You can hear them flying over and they're raucous in the middle of winter. I love it. So I wanted to see where in London I'm most likely to find these parrots. So I pulled down a data set. I spent ages learning Alteryx and figuring out how I could map it to the London boroughs. And this is a shapefile, a tile map of the London boroughs. So everyone's used to seeing tile maps of the US, but here's one of London. I live in one of those blue ones up there. And this was great. It was fantastic. And I found that they move around. They don't just hang out in the same places all during the year. It's crazy. They migrate. Makes a lot of sense, but I never would have known it. And then the sun came up and I had to go to work. And I had a genius idea. I was going to build an animated little slideshow showing how the parrots moved around, and life happened and it stopped here. And because I couldn't realize what I thought the potential for this to be, I never published it. And because I never published it, I never got any feedback on it. And I showed it to Chris Love just before conference when he came into the office, and I was like, because I wanted to show off this cool thing I'd found. And he said, why haven't you published it to Tableau Public? It looks great. The only thing I would change is, instead of doing these blocks that play, maybe you could just do a line chart for the year and you could see where they shift and move. It's like, genius, that would have been so much easier than my insane idea of this slideshow, which is still, don't get me wrong, I may do one day. But I was holding off publishing because I somehow didn't feel it was good enough, which is the most ridiculous thing to do. And so I took my own advice. The only bad viz is the one no one sees. Because no one saw this, I didn't get any feedback on it. I couldn't improve it. And as nerdy as it is, I couldn't get super excited with anybody else about parrots moving around London. So I know the community can sometimes seem a little bit intimidating, but there's no such thing as a bad viz. There's only a viz that nobody sees. And that's a missed opportunity for you for feedback and engaging with people around visualization and around data. So get them out there. Don't be like me. So that's how you can use Tableau Public at home, and some tips about how to actually do it. So now how to do it at work. And now this is probably the bit that most of you guys are here to, in this room to hear about. How can you use Tableau Public in your corporate space as part of the Tableau Public suite of tools you already have? Well, firstly, you need to identify your public data. Now, hands up right now who works for a company who says they're innovative, or likes to say they're innovative. A few, cool, keep your hands up. Who works for a company that is publicly traded on the stock market? Cool, some more of you. Anybody who has a company that produces an annual report of any type? Okay, so pretty much everyone here has raised their hands for at least one of those things. Guess what? You all have publicly available data already sitting on your website. So why not actually use Tableau Public to visualize it? So I'll play a little video. This is to show that you do have public data. This is Glencore. Glencore, for those of you that don't know, and I just picked this because my brother-in-law works for them. Glencore is a South African-based global mining and mineral company. really cool company, do some great things, not really the type of company that you wear skinny jeans, have a beard, and sip your macchiatos at. So these are salt of the earth guys, and if they have publicly available data, hopefully everybody here could see that all your other companies will have it too. Publicly available data isn't just reserved to nonprofits, government organizations, and super trendy companies like Tableau. Actually, everybody has publicly available data. So this is their website, and I just screen captured myself today looking at their website, and you'll see some small little red stars, and every time there's a red star, and I'll stick my hand up as well just so you don't miss it, that's something, if you click through, is a publicly available piece of information. And, there's my mouse. Okay, to start with, they release yearly and half-yearly results. They are publicly traded, so they have investors. They need to release information legally for their investors. They also, like many companies, have corporate responsibilities around sustainability in their case. So they release lots of information about their impact on the climate and what they're doing to reduce emissions. And lastly, just like every company, they either have a corporate blog or a media page, because, right, companies don't exist in isolation. They want to get their products, services, whatever they sell, out there. All of these are publicly available data sets. They mightn't look like your traditional data set all the time, but they are there and they are publicly available already. And so maybe some of them you could use Tableau Public to visualize to make them more engaging, or to, in some cases, maybe release the workload of making quarterly reports and then PDFing them. You can make a living version of that on Tableau Public embedded into your website. So hopefully now I've convinced everybody here that they do have publicly available data at their companies. But what is the benefit of using this? Like, everyone's companies here, or organizations, corporations, are doing pretty well, right? You've come to a conference. So why should you do this? Here's an example of a publicly available data set that EY had that they then put on Tableau Public. And I'll tell you the story around this. So EY saw the KPMG's automotive survey report that we saw a little bit earlier on in this presentation. And they thought, if KPMG, our competitors, have such an awesome report that everybody's talking about and looking at, why don't we do something similar? We have information as well. We can't be seen to be old-fashioned. We want to, get it out there. And their international tax arm, believe it or not, you'd normally think the international tax arm was maybe some of the more reserved, nerdy, geeky people. No, in EY, actually, they're really awesome and forward-thinking guys. They're really cool. And I had the pleasure of working with them to help translate this data set. This dot points is a data set, believe it or not. It's information about international tax regulations and when they come out. And this is how they used to have it visualized on their website. It's a bit of a mind bend to go, this is a data set, but it is. If this was in a table, it'd be a table of links to different tax releases, and each of those tax releases have various data points about them, what they're about, when they came out, what stage of the ratification process they're at. And they thought that this website, well, they didn't think, they knew, they checked the web traffic, wasn't getting much traffic. But actually, it's really key to a whole vertical they have around tax, because international tax laws impact what happens and how taxation is run in individual countries. And so they wanted their users, but also people who just come to their website to read this information, to have a better user experience, and to not only be able to find the information more easily, because at the moment you just scroll down and you scroll down and you scroll down, and then there's 2015. It's not very user-friendly. It's pretty hard to search. But they also wanted it to be a little bit different and engaging, because they wanted people to spend a lot of time looking around at it and seeing what was happening in the world. So they changed to this. this is the same data set visualized in Tableau Public. And this is me looking at what's happening in Australia, and then I could go in and maybe look at what's happening in Guernsey. And then there we go, click through for the information, and that's all that information we saw originally in those dot points on the website as HTML. So this was, they thought, a much better way, and you can tell, far more engaging, although my mouse is going a bit crazy, so I'll just turn that off for you for a second. A much more engaging way of showing that data set. So it's the same thing, looking at the most recent global tax updates that have happened around the world, but this way I can view them as a map. I can click through, I can filter, and I can say I only care about what's happened in Australia that's in the ratification process stage in the last 3 months. And this will filter down, and then all I have to do is click through for details. And then I go back to the body of the report that they used to have sitting behind that big HTML dot point file. And they thought this was amazing, like mind-blowingly amazing. And it was, and it is. And people, all their users got really engaged, and they saw web traffic to this page increase over 10-fold in the space of 2 months or so after it was released. Crazy, so much so that they're building similar visualizations for lots of their other verticals as well, where they have, global and predictable releases. And so what using Tableau Public for them did was it increased users, people who came to their website, the usability of their website, and the engagement their customers had with their website, and it decreased their workload. How did it decrease their workload? They just have to add each new tax regulation that comes along into the Excel file they have and just republish. They don't have to go back to the web service team to get the web page updated with the new HTML links and on and on and on. So it actually decreased their workload as well. And why did they really love it? They already had Tableau. So they already have access to Tableau Public. So they already have their Tableau experts in-house who can build this for them. So it's minimum risk for them. They didn't have to buy new software. Tableau Public, publishing to it is free. Fantastic. Best thing about it. And they got a huge return on it. They got a big increase in engagement. And being a global company, they also got a huge amount of internal recognition for this work. So this was done by their UK tax office. And if you don't believe me, because I know it sounds like a big story talking, tax, they're doing this, it's great. They actually liked it so much they made a video about it and put it on their website. So I'll just play this quickly because I know I'm not always the most believable person in the world, but hopefully EY's marketing department is. They loved it this much, they've made a video, you can all go watch it on their website as well, about this tracker. It's pretty cool. There it is. And so what they found they could use Tableau Public for, they've been able to not just make their content more engaging, something they already had, more engaging, make it easier for their clients to use. They also got to show internally to other parts within their company and organization that, here's this new cool way of doing things. So they, building a better world, working together, they actually got to do that. How many times in your company do you get to work on a project that then changes how the whole company works and thinks about things? And this is what this project is doing in EY internally. It's really cool, and I was really lucky to get to work with them. They were really great guys. So hopefully now you're like, yes, I totally see the benefits of using Tableau Public in my company. I have some ideas about data sets I already have that are stuck in PDF hell, even worse than Excel hell, believe it or not. Or, thinking a bit laterally, things that maybe are in a table in a website that could be made more usable and user-friendly by viewing them as a visualization instead of HTML dot points. But what are some recipes for success? Well, because companies are so global, I've got some high-level tips, but different companies will find different ways of doing this. So this is a non-profit, the International Food Policy Research Institute, bit of a mouthful, and they obviously they have a lot of data about global nutrition and health issues. And what they're doing is and this is a standard thing you think you might visualize, but they're using Tableau Public to be really creative with how they do that. And what's creative is this little thing down the side. So instead of just clicking on the visualization, which many of their competitors have, they then use a Tableau Public feature to import video and to hyperlink out. As soon as you click on a country and see what's going on, you can then hyperlink out and have the video open up in the web page as well. So they're being really creative with how they're using Tableau Public. You can also, we've seen some other companies in this presentation already who've been pretty creative with how they've used their data. EY was pretty creative with how they reimagined their tax tracker. All recipes, massively creative about how they could make some of their data, the recipes, aggregate it up and turn it into a great story. So being creative is about making creative use of the software, but also creatively thinking about the information you already have and how you could reimagine that in a more user-friendly, a more engaging, or in this case, a much clearer way to read it and to incorporate lots of information on one page than they would have by having a static chart, then videos, then text. They can combine it all together. So that's their creative way of doing it. So Tableau Public in the workplace, be creative. Do evangelize internally. So while everyone here is a Tableau fan, obviously because you're at conference, workplaces are much bigger than just the Tableau people. So if you want to get the maximum benefit out of Tableau and out of using Tableau Public, you need to go and be the evangelists in your own companies for this. And you guys might have seen a guy up on stage yesterday called Paul Banoob. He's one of our current Zen Masters, and he is also the Tableau champion at UBS Bank in the UK. And what he's done is he's taken his team of analysts and gone, how can I get the maximum out of this? And he coined a phrase, which was champions. So he said, what do we do within the Tableau community and within public? We have the Zen Master program, we have the Tableau ambassadors, and we have a huge and thriving Tableau community. How can I bring all of this public learning into my own company? So he created something called the Tableau Champions program. And what he does is he basically creates mini internal UBS Tableau Zen Masters and has mini Tableau internal UBS, well not mini because they're a huge company, but internal Makeover Mondays. And he gets the whole company involved, well, not the whole company, but a huge, huge chunk of the analysts and the data users with the UBS involved. And the thing is, people love it. They want to be a champion because they get recognized for the work they do, they get great learning opportunities, and they get the chance to do something pretty fun. And what does he get out of this? He gets lots of people within his company learning how to use software for free in their own time. How many people here who has a company, let's say, uses Salesforce? Has anyone gone home and done Salesforce in their own time? No. But you can with Tableau Public. So you can create this culture of internally promoting ways you can use Tableau and ways you can do that in a publicly viewable way. So this isn't just building static reports, them having Makeover Monday internal competitions. They're visiting, Christmas, all these different things. And for his company, and this is what he said on one of his blog posts on the Tableau corporate site, the initiative has had a huge impact and immediately impact. It's raised the bar of his Tableau users within his organization. It's expanded them out. So it isn't just the analysts who are using Tableau. It's like lots of other people as well. And everyone's becoming more efficient, more engaged, and UBS is getting the most out of Tableau. So big part of using Tableau Public is also promoting it internally. So more people understand the great things you can do with Tableau, and a great vehicle for that is to think about using Tableau Public to help people along their way. And lastly, use Tableau Public to start a conversation about your company. What we're looking at here is actually really cool, and this doesn't do it justice. So this is a really small niche company about sci-fi magazine reviews. Any sci-fi fans here? Yes. Okay, you might know this. This is called Strange Horizons, and they took a measure that's been used within book reviews, which is how many book reviews are by, the majority sort of white heterosexual males, compared to how many book reviews are by everybody else. And they make this metric, this ratio, and they try and see if that ratio is shifting over time. And he thought, and he's been doing this, but in the sci-fi community for sci-fi books, so a sort of a niche group. And he's been doing this for quite a while and hasn't really got any uptake on it. And then he and one of his friends decided, this girl named Emma Koch, that this was actually really useful, important information and was showing some really interesting trends, not just within the sci-fi community, but that could be talked about on a broader scale. So they visualized it using Tableau Public, and then The Guardian picked it up. And so he managed to get this conversation he's been having with just the sci-fi community out to a much wider community. Everyone who reads reads The Guardian's book blog, which are a lot of people. So this is the same as using Tableau Public personally to start a conversation. This is the last thing, my last absolute tip for using Tableau Public for an organization is use it to start a conversation around your data, whatever that is. Everyone here works for companies that do amazing things. Everyone has data about them. Use it, Tableau Public, as a way to get some of that data and to start some conversations around what you're doing with a wider audience. So no matter what you do or where you do it, bigger, better, bolder, just do it in public. Thank you so much, everyone. Cool, so please come to Fanalytics this afternoon if you're hanging around. Give me some feedback, that'd be great. And yeah, please look me up, take my email address, or find me on Twitter if you want to continue this conversation. And if anyone has any questions, happy to please come up and have a chat, but I know most people are running off to get lunch before the final keynote. Thanks.